Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into an incredibly complex, high-stakes mechanic that completely transforms the way you look at trading card games. If you've ever wondered what would happen if the game evolved in a totally different, incredibly punishing direction instead of introducing synchro summoning, you are exactly in the right place. We are looking at a system built entirely on math, immense risk, and careful evolution.
To untangle all this, we'll quickly look inside some Dueling Book replays, master the Succession Summon itself, break down crystal charges and rituals, go over the brutal rules and punishments, compare the strengths and weaknesses, and finally, see why this is actually a masterclass and not a cheat.
Section 1. Inside Dueling Book Replays, Setting the Scene. So, looking at this Dueling Book replay interface, it's kinda like stepping into an alternate reality, right? A world where synchro summoning literally never happened. You've got your standard turn phases, draw, standby, main 1, battle, main 2, and end phase, and of course, those starting 8,000 life points. But here's the kicker. Every single phase here is heavily scrutinized. Why? Because this environment leaves absolutely zero room for error. And if we look at the replay logs, we hit our first major hurdle. Just getting the exact sequence of cards you need in your hand is a massive struggle right out of the gate. You don't just magically draw your combo pieces. You are forced to make life-or-death decisions with extremely limited resources. It takes immense forethought just to get the engine started. Section 2. Mastering the Succession Summon, the core engine.
Now, Succession Summoning is super interesting because it's not about replacing your monsters, it's an evolution. Think of it like a giant puzzle. You start with a base numeral 1 card, like say, Shaman Eye. But when you move up to Shaman 2, you aren't sending that first one to the graveyard. No, you're actually building upon it to create a more powerful version of the exact same entity.
But how do you actually pull it off? Well, it requires a very strict procedure. Step 1 is straightforward. You normal summon that numeral 1 card. But step 2 is where the strategy locks in. You succession summon the higher numerals, like 2, 3, or 4, directly from your hand, but they absolutely must enter in face-up defense position. You can't just drop them and swing for massive damage. You have to patiently build your fortress.
And here is the crucial bottleneck. You have a strict deck limit. Exactly 12 succession cards and 9 reachers. Reachers being the cards you use to search your deck. What does this mean? It means resource management is absolute key here. You have a finite set of tools, and once they're gone, the whole strategy completely collapses. Every single summon matters.
Section 3. Crystal Charges and Rituals, the math behind the magic.
So, casters natively have 0 attack, nothing. To actually fight, they have to use gemstones to channel energy, and the math here scales perfectly. 1 star equals 1 charge, which translates to a massive 1,000 attack power for the caster. You're basically equipping a crystal battery to your spellcaster to give it the offensive punch it just doesn't have on its own.
Let's break down those strict scaling limits, because this is super important. A level 4 caster maxes out at 2 charges, giving you 2,000 attack. Move up to level 6 or 8, and they both max out at 3 charges, yielding 2,600 and 3,000 attack respectively. But if you manage to get a level 9 or higher out there, it becomes an unlimited juggernaut boasting 5,000 attack. Your offensive power scales directly to your caster, but you've got to track these limits flawlessly.
Now, the protections you get are incredible. The turn it's summoned, your gemstone actually absorbs the hits from spells, traps, and effects, making your setup virtually untouchable for that brief window. However, you are heavily bottlenecked. You can only ever have one spellcaster on the field at a time. It's a solitary, highly protected, yet highly restricted position on the board. Oh, and you must remain a spellcaster to actually cast.
Section 4. Rules and Brutal Punishments, Life or Death.
This is where things get wild. If you make a mathematical error here, it is a game-ending disaster. The game literally punishes you for bad math or greedy plays. The penalty? 50% of your current life points, clearing your entire side of the field and banishing your hand. You don't just lose the monster, you lose everything.
So what actually triggers this brutal punishment? Well, if you get greedy and try to ritual summon a monster level greater than your caster, or if you overcharge an attack beyond the caster's limit, the spell completely backfires. Push a level 4 caster to 3 charges, exceeding its 2-charge limit, and the energy literally detonates in your face. Ritual levels can never exceed the caster's level, and charges can never exceed the maximum. Period.
Section 5. Comparing Strengths and Weaknesses, the ultimate trade-off.
So why risk it? It's the ultimate balance of high risk, high reward.
Let's look at the weaknesses. Starting with absolutely zero native attack and locking yourself out of normal or special summoning any other monsters is a massive handicap. But on the flip side, the strengths are huge. Evolving without needing tributes and layering those ritual protections turns your lone spellcaster into an absolute fortress.
Section 6. A masterclass, not a cheat. Community perception.
Now this brings us to a big question in the community. Is this oppressive mechanic actually just a floodgate cheat? It's really easy to see those untouchable stones and high attack values and just assume it's an unfair workaround. I mean, when you're staring down a heavily protected caster that totally prevents you from playing your normal game, the immediate reaction is often to call it a cheap floodgate tactic.
But in reality, it's a masterclass in exceeding expectations. The truth is, it's way harder to execute than it looks. Because there is a total lack of card loop cycling, you have to outthink your opponent every single turn. You can't just endlessly cycle resources. You have to meticulously calculate your charges, levels, and limits. Those brutal punishments we talked about, they perfectly prevent any mindless spamming.
Which leaves us with a final, fascinating question on risk versus reward. Knowing the math, the strict rules, and the massive penalties, are you brave enough to risk half your life points and your entire hand for the perfect succession summon? Thanks for joining this explainer. Keep calculating, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.